Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1,000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So we are going to start a new project, that is employee app. Again, with previous version also I have created, but obviously with some different approaches, some UI is different. In this video, we are going to do this with Angular 19. So now whatever the new things we have got from 17, 18 to 19, so that we are going to cover. Means let's say from control statement, instead of we can make use of resource API. Again, whatever new things we have that we will try to use. Now, everyone is aware like what is employee management. So let's say we have a company, any company, either it is an IT company or any type of company. So everywhere we have employees. So every company needs a software which will manage the employee, like how many employees are there. It's CRUD operation. You should be able to create the employee like that. Then let's say if we talk about specific to IT industries, we have clients also. So we should be able to create multiple projects also. Who is working on that project? Who is leading that project? That kind of thing, right? Again, leaves are also there, APIs which we are going to use, it has everything, but I'm just going to limit it up to we will be able to create the employee, then we will be able to create the project, and the employee assignment means which employees are going to work on the particular project of the client. So this is the flow what we are going to see. Now, the project I have already created. So if you can see, this is my package.json. So 19 is the version I have. So if you are not installed the latest 19, you can just update the CLI and you can just create the project. Now to, what do we say? Uh, to create the project, you just have to use ng new and then your project name. That's it. That you with that command you will be able to create the project. After that, I have just installed the Bootstrap. That's it. Nothing else I have done. I have just created a plain 19 project and the Bootstrap. If we go to the project structure, and one more thing, once you install the Bootstrap in angular.json, you need to add your link of the bootstrap.css also. So that I have done. These are the prerequisites I have done. Now, if you open the src folder, so from 17 where standalone components are there, so with 19 we by default all components are standalone now. So here you can see that standalone property is not mentioned over here, means by default all your components are standalone. Fine. So this is the empty project which I have created. Now let's get started. So as I discussed, we are going to have a login page, dashboard, employee, project, and the employee assignment. So again, this is going to be an admin kind of application where once user access our application, only login page should be visible. And once user login, then he should get to see all the navbar and everything. So for that, let's create the component first. So now in app component, I will be creating a folder and I will name it as pages. Inside pages component, I will be creating a component of which I'm going to create the route. So let's open a new terminal. Now I'm not covering everything over here because I have already created a dedicated tutorial video. So if you are new, please do follow that first, then you jump to the project. If you directly jump to the project, now you might not get some things. Fine. Now, so in admin application, we have to create two components, one for the login and one which will act as a primary parent component after the login. Fine. So ng generate component, let's say login. So either you can write the full generate or full component, or you can use the shortcut also. So first component I'm creating is the login. Then we need one more component where we are going to keep our navbar. So that this navbar layout component will act as a parent component once you done the login. Then we need employee portal, employee page. After that, we need dashboard component. Once user login, he will navigate to the dashboard component. After dashboard, we will need that is project, where we will create the various projects of the various client. Then we will need project employees component. Fine. So these are the components which we are going to need. Once you create the component, next thing should be you should be creating the routes. So as I have already explained, like this is going to be your admin kind of application. Fine. So when we are creating an admin kind of application, so your routing is little bit different. So let me show you how it is different. So first empty route will be there. So let's say path colon empty, then redirect to where we will redirect by default login page. Then path my strategy we need to pass with value full. So this is my default route. After that, we need our login route. So path empty login. Then which component I will open? So login component. After this, one more route, again path, it will be empty, or you can provide the name also. Then component will be your layout component. As I told you, so once user successfully log in, after that layout component is going to be our parent component. So that's why routing will be like that. Now, all the component which we are going to access after the login will be children of this component. So children square bracket array. And here you will create the route of the remaining components. So path, dashboard, then component, dashboard component. Like this, we need to create all the component route. Path, employee, component will be component, employee component. Fine. So this is how your routing structure should be. A default route, a login route, and again with again a route with layout component and all the component route which we are going to access after the login. That route will be as a children to this layout component. So this should be your routing when you are dealing with an admin kind of application. Fine. So I will create the routes later, but just like this, you will be creating for all the component route. Let's close it. So you have created the route. Now let's try to run the project. Now, those who are going to use my API, you need to run project on a particular port number. Then only API will be accessible. So that is ng serve hyphen port 4209. Make sure you run the project on this particular port number. So it is compiling by default. It will now run on the 4209 port. So let's reload. And here are the APIs on project API.jirasim.in and go to the employee management section. You can see all the APIs are over here. Fine. Let's start now. So by default, you can see login component is rendering over here, but this is also coming. So this is coming from our app component. So by default, when we create the project, we get some basic content. So let's just remove everything. Now in app component, what you will have just the router outlet, nothing else. Fine. Now we need the login page. So let's search the login page on login page code pen. On the code pen, you will get so many examples. So you can choose any of that and you can just copy paste the code. So I'm going with this. Okay, let's open. So HTML we need. So not everything, just inside the body, whatever you have inside the body, just copy that. This HTML code will go into your layout login component HTML. Then you need the CSS also. So CSS, let's copy it from over here. And this you will put it over here. Fine. Now if we save, we should be able to see the login page properly. Yeah. So see, whatever the login page we have saw, same login page we have also able to render. Fine. Now we have integrated the login page. After login, obviously all my application will work once we do the login. So as I have explained, in this application, we are going to have two roles. One is the employee role and one is the super admin. So super admin role, first we are going to integrate. So if you see the API, we have this login API. So this API we need to integrate. Let's test it. On click of try it out. Let's pass this detail hradmin@gmail.com. Let's say this is an HR login because normally HR will create the employee record, correct? Let's try to execute. Yes, so see, you are getting the data. If we pass the wrong credential, we should get the error. See, result is false. And if we pass the correct credential, we will get the correct login credential. And in that sense, result will be true. Let's execute again. See, result is true, and in data, we got the data. So this API we are going to integrate now. So in login component, we are going to do that. Now, I know like we are going to complete a project, but with completing project also, we need to understand all the things also. Means whatever the topics we have. So somewhere we will use template form, somewhere we will use reactive form, somewhere we will use signal with form, so that our learning will be also done and we will complete a project also. Fine. Now, nine means because whatever the guys you are watching, obviously you are a fresher, that's why you are practicing. Those who are already experienced, they can choose whatever the way they know already. But for fresher, whenever you are working on a practice project or somewhere, try to complete the project with covering all the possible topics. Fine. That way you will have a hands-on experience on the topics also and the project also. Fine. Now, so in login component, we will first go with the reactive form. We will start with base, or let's start with very easy thing. So template we will choose. So in login component, we have to we have to make the API call. So, but before that, if you have to make the API call, so you need to go to the app config, and over here, you need to in provider section, you need to write provide HTTP client. One more entry you need to add in provider section, that is provide HTTP client, like this. Fine. This is the first thing you need to do whenever you have to implement API call. So let's close this now. So let's see what object we need. So this is the object we need to pass. So let's copy it. And over here, I will be creating an object. So let's say login obj colon any. I'm going with any. Just I told you like we will go with the simple thing, then we will make some changes. So currently I'm not creating class or interface. So how you should be aware about this also. Okay. So this is very basic, but this when you create an object, you should not use any. But as I'm considering everyone with fresher and the little bit experience, so that's why I have to cover everything. So we have created object. Now this object we need to bind to our form. Again, I said like we are going to use template form. So if you have to use template form means ng model. So you need to import forms module. It's not suggesting. Let's add the import first slash forms. And here forms module. Then you will add it over here. So why it is saying like this? Import must be okay. Error one. So first thing we are going to use template form. So first you need to add the forms model in your import section. Then let's go to our HTML. So this is our HTML. Let's open side by side. Whenever you are practicing now, make sure you are opening .ts and HTML like this by using the split window. So you can actually see both the files properly. So we have created this object. Now this object we need to bind to a respective field. So square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to login object dot username we need to bind. So this username will go over here. Just like that, password also we need to bind. So on the password field, we need to bind password over here. So we have created object and that object we have binded to our form also. Then we have a login button. Now on click of login, we have to integrate API. So on login, a function I'm creating. Let's create this function into our .ts. Now, so once we click on once user clicks on the login, we need to integrate our API. So in previous version means before 17 or before 16, uh, API call obviously HTTP client API service we need to do. So previously what we used to do, we used to create constructor and in constructor we used to create the object of our HTTP client like this, HTTP client. This is the old way. New way is instead of doing like this, you can make use of inject also. So HTTP is equal to inject. What we need to inject? HTTP client service. Fine. So this is the old way and this is the new way. This we have got from Angular 16, not 17, not 18 or not 19. This is what we have got from Angular 16. Fine. Now, so over here, now in the component itself, I am doing the API call. Okay. So as I told you, like we will start with the basic, then we will slowly move towards the advanced thing. So this dot HTTP dot API call is, let's check on the Swagger. Obviously, it's a post API. We are sending object. So dot post. Post function needs two things, URL and the object. So URL. So let's copy the URL. So this is my URL. So let's copy it. Let's paste it over here. Then second parameter will be our object. So object is nothing but this object. So comma this dot login object. Then we can write our subscribe call result colon any. Again, I'm going with any because we haven't created class or interface. We will create in the next component. Fine. So now if you see the API response, we get message, result, and data. So result is the property which you need to watch. If result property is true, means API call is success. Otherwise, false, you will get the error in the message property. So that check you need to add it over here. So if result dot result, just like these are my API. Whenever you work on a project also, na, even whatever the project you might be working or you are going to be working. So every API developer will provide some common response. In some project, they will play with the status code. In some project, they will send a custom model also, just like I'm sending. Fine. So you need to change your code like that. Fine. So if result property is true, what we need to do, we need to navigate to some another page. So as we decided, once user login, we will navigate to the dashboard. So now from .ts, you need to navigate. So for that, we need to make use of router service. So again, inject what we need to inject router. So now here this dot router dot navigate by URL, and where we have to navigate our dashboard component. So let's get the dashboard component URL path name, that is dashboard only. So this we have to put it over here. But before redirecting, we need to store the logged in data into local storage or session storage. So local storage dot set item. What will be key name? Let's say employee app, and data will be complete object we will store. So, but local storage and session storage, we can only store string type of data. Here you can see what type of data it needs, string. So we got the object, so we need to convert it to the string format. So we will use JSON dot stringify method, and inside the stringify res dot data means whatever the data you get from the API. So once API is successful, means whatever the credential we pass, that matches the user. We got the data, we storing the data into local storage, and we are redirecting to the dashboard. If we got result as false, we have to show the message also. So message we will show in result dot message. Whatever the API message we get, that we will show. Let's add a debugger. Again, make a habit. If you are in the learning phase, everywhere, before calling the API, in the subscribe, everywhere, just add a debugger. See what data you are passing, what data you are getting. Everywhere you should be able to see the flow. This is the right way to learn any new language. Fine. Just debug everything. And this will help you when you are going to work on the project also. Fine. Let's see. For now, I'm just passing the wrong credential. Okay. Now, if I click on login, see the login object, you got the data. So this is what I'm talking about. Use your mouse, hover on the variables, object, and whatever you have. Check what data you are getting. So whatever the data you are filling, that you are getting in the object. Let's continue. And now check the result. See, result property is false because we sent the wrong credential. So it will go to the else block. And else block, we are showing the message, whatever we got from the API. Now let's try the correct password. Admin 1234. Let's click on login. See, now the data got updated. Continue. Now, if you see the RES, oh, I think still we mismatch. Okay, this is the password. Sorry, my bad. Let's update the password. Login, continue. So here you can see now we have got the result property as false only. Why? Again, sorry, this is the email ID. I'm multiply doing the same mistake. Let's try now. Fine. So now we are passing the username and the password correct. We should get it true. Yeah. So here you can see result is true. And in data, you got the object, complete object. Here role is admin. Fine. Means nothing but super admin. Fine. So if result is true, we are storing data into local storage and we are navigating to the dashboard. Once I continue, you can see over here, you can see the dashboard, but over here you can see layout works. So layout component is rendering. Why? Because this is the route structure. Once we navigate to the dashboard, we have layout component as a parent. So now in layout component, we need router outlet. Then our dashboard component will be visible. Fine. So as I explained earlier, in layout component, we are going to have a nav bar. So let's search nav bar on the code pane, or you can use the bootstrap one also. Let's try to find some fancy one. Strap nav bar code pane. Let's specific search with 5. Everything's same looking. Let's try. Very basic navbars are here. Let's try to use this, the vertical one. Yeah, let's go with this. So this is the navbar. Let's copy, and this navbar HTML code will go onto your layout component.html. And we need the CSS also. So let's copy CSS into CSS file. Let's just save and check if we are getting the proper navbar or not. Yeah, so we are getting the sidebar. Fine. Let's just reduce the width of this side navbar. It's very big. So somewhere width should be there now. Where it is. File background is there. How it is taking the width. Width with 25%. So let's make it 20%. Let's save. Yeah, so this looks good. So after the nav bar, here it should render the dashboard component. But for that, we need router outlet. So what's the purpose of router outlet? To render the activated component. Fine. So let's remove this. Now here we need router hyphen outlet, but it's giving error. Why it is giving error? Because it's a standalone component. So you need to import router outlet too. Then only it will work. See, now error has gone. It's not reloading. Let's save again. Still some error is there or what? Something is not right. Router outlet. Let's save one. Check one more time. Let's try to inspect. Where is our dashboard component? Yeah, it is there, but it's going somewhere over here. Okay, I got it because see over here they have created something. So this layout component, this navbar is taking 25%, 20% weight, but after that, some CSS we need to change. Navbar is taking 20%, but how paragraph was coming earlier? Then what CSS they had over here? MT5. Okay, let's add a container with div and this MT5 over here. Now inside this router outlet we will use. Let's see now. Still that why dashboard is not visible. It is visible, but it is, I think, going inside this. Why it is going out inside this and why this paragraph is coming proper. Okay, because it has a center class. Okay, let's change. So now you can see we have this navbar and outside it. So it's coming after this. So for that, now what we can do, let's create a row column structure to make things very proper. Row dot call, let's say 3. In call 3, I will put my navbar. So now we don't need that width because we are using the column. And after call 3, call 9 is there. And inside call 9, we will have our this row. And now we can remove this width. Let's save. So these small changes you need to do. Why it is taking complete screen now? Width 100%. Let's save. Why taking? Let's see. So row is there, call 3, and inside this navbar. Mhm. That's why I don't like this copy pasting. Okay, so I think we need to stick with the width also. So we will go with 20%. Let's see how does it look. So in call bar is this, and here we have this. Let's try with call 2. Call 2 will be very less. Let's see. Yeah. So call 2 is there. What's the width with call 2? It's with 16 point something. So let's try the same thing over here. Okay, fine. So with little bit changes, our UI is coming proper now. Now, so once we log in, we are getting this dashboard component properly. So dashboard, we will do it at the end of the video because once we complete everything, then only dashboard should be matter. Now we have created navbar. So over here, we need to add the links also. So currently we have just created two routes. So that is dashboard and the employee. So let's add the route. So if you are going to use router link, so you need to import that also. So router link we need to import, then only you can use router link. So this is the home one. So instead of this href, I will use router link. And here we have to specify dashboard route. So this dashboard route will go over here. Then just like that, one more is there for the employee. So here we will say employees and we need the employee route. So this route name will go over here. Let's just save and check if we are able to navigate properly. So if we click on home, we are on the dashboard. If we click on employee, see route is also getting changed and here also it is getting changed. Fine. So we are able to route. Let's save. Fine. Now, first component which we are going to do is employee component. So let me show you the API now. So above this, you can see these are the APIs: get all employees, get employee by ID, create employee. Then we have update, delete. Fine. So these are the various APIs we have. Now, a simple CRUD operation we are going to do. Now in logging component, we have already used the template component, but that was very small component. So now again, I'm going to use template, but now with we are going to do the CRUD operation with template form, but instead of using any, we will create our class or interface. Fine. So inside app folder, you have to create one more folder. Let's call it as model. Inside this, I will create a, what do we say? I think UI, or I have already have the UI ready. Let me check if the UI is already there so that our time will be minimized. Employee management index. Let's see if we have the employee. Yeah, so we have this UI already ready. So I will just copy paste. Fine. Now, so if you see the API, create employee. So this is the object which we need to send. So here employee ID is our primary key, employee name, contact number, email ID, department ID, password, generate and role. So department ID is 0. So this is our foreign key. Now from where you are going to get the department ID? So if you see the top API, we have department also, that is parent department and child department. So here we need to have two drop down. One to select the parent department, and once you change on the department, then Then child department card. So dependent drop down use case is there. So this is like when you work on a project, you will have scenarios like this where you need to have a dependent drop down also. Fine. So let's check. Now, first we need to create the interface. So these are the fields which we need. So let's copy this. Now we are going to create an interface. So in model folder, what I will do is employee dot ts, a simple TypeScript file I'm creating. Export class employee class name curly bracket, and these are the things we need. Let's remove. Now these are the properties we have. So let's remove single quote. Now this will have a data type of number, then employee string. Wherever we need the string, we will have data type as string. So instead of number, let's goes with the string. Now I will just copy paste string. This is also string. This is also string. This is also string. This is also string. This also we created date. You doesn't matter if you send or not. Let's go with date, and we will send the by default date. And here we have number. So this will be again with the number. So now with every field you will be getting error like properties are not initialized. So it's a class. So we have an access to the constructor. Now in constructor we will initialize all the properties whatever with the default value. So this dot employee ID we will initialize with 0. Then this dot department ID also we will initialize with 0. Then remaining field I will initialize with empty string contact number is equal to empty like this. So let me just reinitialize. So this is how we have initialized all the field. Created date was having a date time date. So I have initialized with the current date. Fine. So you have created your class. Next thing, in your employee component, we need the UI. So as I told you, like if UI is already there, and this also YouTube project template is already in my GitHub. So you can just use that also. Fine. So we need a card structure. So this whole container I will copy, and this we will put inside our employee component. Let's just save and check if we are able to get that proper UI. Yeah, so UI is something available. We just need to realign little bit. Let's see what's wrong. So we have container fluid. Let's remove this container fluid and my4 also. It might be taking extra space. Still this space is left. Why? Row. Okay, row call 7 is there. Call 7 and 512. Why then? Let's save. Let's see what. Okay, row is only showing this much. Container fluid also. Okay, sorry, 2 and 9. So here we need 10. Only one column was left. So in layout component, instead of this 9, we should have 10. Fine, now it will take the complete screen. Fine. Now, so this is very basic UI I have created. Now, as I told you, like we are going to have a dependent drop down. So here we need two drop down, parent drop down for the department and one more drop down, which you will get on the selection of this first drop down. So let's rearrange the UI a little bit. In employee component, call 5. So department is there, right? So let's move it. Let's create new row, all 6. Sorry. Parent department and child department. Let's save. So this is how your UI should look like. So you have APIs now. So you can see get parent department. So this is the API what you need to integrate. So once you click on execute, you will get parent department. Why it is taking so much time? I need to remove the data because these APIs are from so many days ago. So much data is there. Yeah, you can see so much data is there. Okay, let me just clear the database first because so much data you will be able to see. That will be get confusing. Let me just remove the data. So I have emptied all the records. So if we execute, we won't be able to only see some particular record. Just a minute. Fine. So if we see now get parent department, no records are coming. Now I'm not going to cover this CRUD operation because it's very simple. So one or two fields are there. So you need to create department first from over here. So click on add new department. Let's create two department. Let's say department name will be marketing. Department logo I'm not passing. So let's execute. So department ID is this. Okay. Let's copy this. So we will create two department and respective. Fine. Then let's say development. Let's execute. Right. So this is the second department we have created. Now in this, these are the parent department. Now inside this department, we need to create our child department. So for that, you need to use this API, that is add child department. So here you need to send the parent department ID. So let's say in marketing, we will need to pass this ID. And here we will say Facebook, execute, Instagram. Fine. So we have created two department in our marketing department, child department. Now we have to create department in child department in development. Fine. So Angular dev, this is first department. Then let's say Java developer. Then let's say .NET developer. Then we have, let's say, testing department. Execute. Fine. So in marketing, we have created two department, and in sorry, what was that other one? In development department, we have created several. Now, so as per UI, on the page load, we need to call our first API. That is, we need to get all the parent departments. So this API we need to execute. So now if we execute, you can see two records are coming. So now this API you need to integrate in your component. Fine. So again, we are going to get this kind of data. So let's create class or interface. So we have already created class over here. Now in this scenario, let's create interface. Export interface. What will be? We will start with I normally. So this is what rules standard we need to follow whenever we are creating interface. Just start the name with I. Parent department. These are the fields. Colon, number will be over here. Then here will be string. Department logo will be also string. Fine. So this is what we have created interface now. So we have created our class and we have created our interface also. Just like this, we will need a child department interface also. So let's quickly check that also. So child department, get all child department. Let's see what kind of data we get over here. So child department ID will be over here. Then we have parent department ID and department name. So let's copy, let's paste it over here. So this will be again number and this will be child department. Fine. So we have created two interface, one for the parent department, one for the child department. Now, so in employee component on the page load, we need to call our first API. So in the login component, I have told you like how we make the API call from the component, right? Now we will create a service to make the API call. So service is the best way, where you should create your API call function. Fine. Now, so inside app folder, I will create a service. So let's create a folder, services. Let's open a terminal on this services folder. Ng generate services. Let's say I'm going with employee or department master. Fine. I'm going with a master name. So once you enter, it will create two files, master service.ts and the spec file that is for the testing. So you can ignore that. So now in master service, you need to create your API call function. So we already got the constructor. So let's create private HTTP colon HTTP client. And here we need first API call function that is get parent department. Now, so this dot HTTP dot get API call. So let's get the URL. So this is our URL. So this I will copy and I will paste it over here. Fine. Now, whatever the data we get from this API, that I need to return it also. So we will simply add a return statement. So this is very basic API call function. Again, we will make advanced changes to this also, but just for now, this is very basic API call function, what you can write in your service. Now, this service we need to integrate into our employee component. So that's over here. So master service colon, sorry, inject master service. Fine. We have integrated our master service into our component. Then on the page load, we have to make the API call. So we have to make use of lifecycle event that is on in it. So we need to implement on in it. I hope I'm not going very fast, trying to cover everything possible, considering if you are new or you already know some of the topics. Okay. So once you implement, you need to implement our ng on it lifecycle event. Now we will create one more function, get parent department list. Now inside this function, we will actually call our API call function. So this dot master service dot only one function is there currently. Now this function is going to return data type of observable. See, so anything which is returning data type of observable, we can subscribe to it. So dot subscribe, round bracket, result, colon, any. Now here we are going with any. But here also you can do one thing. So my all API are going to return this kind of response, right? So we can create an interface for this also. So we don't have to use any anywhere else, right? Export interface IAPI response message will be having data type string. This will be having data type number, sorry, Boolean. Let me just remove this and then your data type will come. And lastly, data type. Data, it can be anything. Sometimes it can be a single object, sometimes it can be array. So that's why here you can put it any. Now, instead of wherever you are making the API call and over here you need any, right? So instead of this, now you can put your interface. Let's add the import. See, import has been automatically added. Okay. Now, why it is giving error? Okay. So because we are specifying the data type over here, we need in the service also, we need to provide the data type. So what type of data I'm going to send? So I API response like this. So then you won't get the error. Fine. Arrow function. Fine. Now, whatever the data we get from this function means from your API call that we need to store it into a variable, right? So let's create department list colon. Now we have created interface. So I department list and instead of department list, now it will be parent department list. Data type will be interface of square bracket because we are going to get array of this class, array of this interface. Fine. And we will store the data over here. Parent department list is equal to res dot data. And this function we will call in ng on it. So this over here. Fine. So we have done. Now, whatever the data we get from the API call that we are going to store over here. So this we need to show over here by using dynamic element creation. So we can use @ for loop. So this is control flow statement. This is what we have got from Angular 17. Fine. Inside that, we need to create our options dynamically. So here, value property we will bind. Now what value you will binding? Department ID. So where item dot department ID, you will bind it over here. And here you need to show the department name. So item dot. See the benefit of creating class or interface. You get everything IntelliSense. So there is no chance to make the spelling mistake. Now let's just save and let's test it if we are able to see the department. Yes, so see, we have created marketing, development, and human resource. Three departments are there. So now those departments are you are able to see. Fine. Now, once I select particular department, I need to get the child department of this department, whatever I have selected. So for that, we have one API to get department by child department, means get child department ID by parent ID. Fine. So if we see what was the department ID, so let's say marketing department ID is this. So if we pass this ID over here, you will get the department of that particular department. See Facebook and Instagram. Got it? So now this API call you need to make. Again, another API call is there. So we have to go to the service, get child department by ID by parent ID. Fine. So again, same API call I will copy paste. But here instead of this parent department, our method will be this, like this. Fine. Just over here, we just need a dynamic ID. So this function will need a parameter ID colon number, and whatever the ID we will get, that we will pass it over here in the URL like this plus ID. Fine. Now this is very basic API call function, but you know the return type of this. What type of data you are going to return from this function? Observable. But inside observable also what type of data? So IAPI response model. So you can provide the data type to this function also, return type observable. It's not suggesting. Let's add the import from RxJS. What do we need? Observable. Fine. What type of data I'm going to send? API, IAPI response model. So this should be your API call function. You should have a properly written type also. This is very basic. This is also good, but just to showcase your proper knowledge, now create functions like this. Fine. Now, so whatever the department ID we pass, this API call will be called. Now, once we change this drop down, once we select any parent department, we need to call that API. So this is the select. So we need to write change event on department change. Let's create this function, but we didn't bind it this form with whole our form. So this is an individual control, right? So let's create a variable. So let's say department ID colon number is equal to, by default I'm initializing with 0, and we are going to use template form. So forms module, and this variable I will bind it to my drop down by using ng model. Fine. Now let's create this function, because we are going to need that ID now, like what department ID he has selected. So this dot master service dot, in master service now we have two functions. This function we need to call, and this function needs a parameter ID. So this dot department ID, the variable which we have created and the variable which we have bind also. Dot subscribe round bracket result colon IAPI response. Fine. Now we need one more variable also to store the child department. Child department list. Again, we have created interface of the child department also. So this we will go it over here. Again, I'm mentioning, like, if you are new total, so you won't be getting everything, because I'm in the login component, I have explained the basic code. But as we are moving towards the another component, I'm making it something advanced. Fine. So now whatever the data we get, that we need to store over here. Child department list is equal to res.data. Fine. Now this we need to bind it over here. So let's copy this for loop. I'm not taking ng for because that is the old way. So you should not use that now. I don't know, like Angular thing might get rid of that. So just use whatever new things we have got. Fine. Let's just save all and let's check it now. So now once I select marketing, wait, something is not right. Let's check why. So once we change the, yeah, API call is going, but only here you can see department ID 0 is only going. Why it is going 0? Let's save and check. So here we are binding department ID. ng model is also bind. And this variable we have already binded over here. So whatever the ID, whatever the option we select, that ID should get stored over here. Let's try one more time. Might be the reload issue. So on the page load, we have get department API. Once I select development, no, it's still going 0. Let's debug the code now. So first employee component, we need to add a debugger. And this is where I will add. If I change, oh, it is coming 0 only. How come? Let's add and check. So here we got the value. See, values over here, but why we are getting 0? So we have used change department on department change function. Why we are not getting ID in this variable? Okay, let's check console issue now. So in console, we are getting this error. If ng model is within a form tag, so this our whole form is inside this form tag. So if you are using ng model, we need that name attribute present, correct? So that's why you had the console error. So that's why ID was not getting updated. Now it should work fine. Let's see. If I select development, now you can see department ID is going. And whatever the data we get, so we have got 4 department. So see, 4 departments are coming. If I change to marketing, see, so this is dependent dropdown. On change of it, on change of the parent department, we are able to see the child department reflecting. Because on change of it, we are making the API call. Fine. Now, so department means dynamic dependent dropdown thing we are done. Now we will complete our CRUD operation. Fine. So we created this class, correct? For the object of the employee, correct? So now we will start with the actual implementation. So here first we will create the instance of our object. That object we are going to bind to the form. So let's say employee obj. Now instead of colon any, now we have created our class. So that class we need to provide it over here. So our class name is employee. So this I will provide it over here. Obviously we will need to add the import is equal to new. Since it's a class, so we can make use of the new operator to initialize our class. Fine. And once this we initialize, our constructor will get executed and all the properties will be by default initialized. Fine. So we have created our object. Now this object we need to bind to our form. So let's open it in the side window. So wherever we had this form binded, we just need to bind our ng model controller over there. So over here, wherever we have the form control or all the input elements, we need to bind our ng model. So square bracket, or then round bracket, ng model equal to double quotes. And what we need to bind? Employee object dot. See, so the benefit of creating class and interface, you get all the properties in IntelliSense, you don't make the spelling mistake and everything. Fine. So this is done. But now everywhere I need to copy paste. So instead of that, what I can do, I can search this class and I will replace that with this. So you will save some of your time. Search and replace. Fine. Now contact number. So contact number we will bind email. Then here it was already there. So one more thing, ng class form control is there, but on the drop down we had form select. So here we will manually add. So child department. So this is another drop down, which is only we are using to get our child department. So here we need to bind department ID. Fine. And then here password, because employee will be able to log in also so to the same application. And role we don't need because we know only role is going to be having the employee. So instead of hard coding it, we will set it over here, employee. Fine, that's it. And gender is also remaining. So if you can see, instead of gender as a drop down now, we will use radio button. So there also I will explain one thing, which is a small intro question, but everyone is asking it. Type radio. Fine. Here value will be male. And one more radio button I will be needing. Female. Let's add it over here, male, and then female. Fine. Let's just save and check. So again, we will get why. Let's save it proper. Let's reload. Still, we will get an error. Why? Because we are using ng model inside a form tag. But why we are not getting it? I think name property must be present in all. So here also, no, we don't have name property. But why it's not showing error? Let's check one more time. Why it is saying employee object doesn't exist? Line number 51. Line number 51. Why it is not recognizing this? Employee object is okay. Wait. We didn't save it properly. Fine. So if you check the console, now we have that error because we have a form tag and inside that we are using our so let me just close ng model. So we need name attribute also present everywhere. So what I will do is just I will copy this and search it with name property like this. Let's just copy, replace. So wherever we have the name property, we will bind the same property name like this. Okay, whatever the object you have binded, that same field name you need to bind it to the name property. Email ID. Then here also, here we have already added. Let's copy, paste, department ID here we need to bind, then password here, and now, so the radio button. So now radio button should be working as a group. So here we need to add name property as the same. So let's bind this ng model over here also, gender, and this same property will goes over here. So both of these radio button will act as a group. Let's save. So now you can see we don't have any error in the console. Fine. Now, if you check over here, see at a time you are able to select only one option. This is what I was talking about. So if you provide both the text box as the same value, you will be having that. Okay. Let's say something is missing. Why class is not working proper? Oh, I think we have replaced it. Let's quickly add it. Form control. Let's quickly copy paste. Let's save. Fine. So our form is coming properly now. Now, so label it should be there in the radio button, right? How we can add it? Let's add a div. Select gender. Let's save. Yeah, fine. So now on click of submit, we need to integrate our save API call. Correct? So for that, let's check the API. If we scroll down, so this is the so our method name is create employee and the post API. So again, we have to go to the service. So we have already created a service, right? So the service name is master service. So see, here is the thing. it's not required that you can only create a one service and put all your API call function over here. You can create another service also, right? So let's create one more service with the name employee. So it will be just a separation. So ng generate service employee. Again, it's according to you. If your project is very small, now you can write all your API call function in a single service also. That is also enough. Fine. Now, here again, we need to inject our HTTP client. Fine. Now here first API call we need to create, that is create new employee. This function we are going to call from our components. Obviously, we are going to need object parameter, and what type of data we are going to get? Employee class. So here return this dot http dot post. What type of data we are going to return? IAPI response, like this. So then round bracket, first API call we need, right? So our API call will be, let me just generate the URL. So this will be my API call. So if we copy, we just need to post it over here in double quotes. So this is my API. And second parameter, since it's a post APIs, right? So if we need to pass object also. So this object will go over here. And the return type. So colon observable. What type of data you are going to return? IAPI response. Like this. So this is your post API call. Now we need to inject this employee service into our employee component. So employee.ts, just like this. I'm just copy pasting now to save the time. EMP service. What we need to inject? Employee service. Fine. Now we need one more function on save employee. And from this function, we will make our API call, which API call means the service function. It's ultimately going to do the API call. Fine. So this dot employee service dot, currently only we have one function. So we need to pass the object. Object is nothing but this, right? Because this only we have binded to the form. So this dot employee object dot subscribe result I API response subscribe call. Fine. Again, we need to write if else check result dot result. If it is true, we will show the alert box and we will say employee creation success. Fine. And in else, whatever the error message we get from the API, that we will display res.message. Fine. Now this function we need to call on the save button. So instead of type submit, I will go with button. And here our normal click event, I will write function round bracket. Fine. Let's just save and test it now. Fine. So let's check now if we are able to create the employee. Let's check if we have some existing employee or not. So let's check this get employee API, execute. So you can see empty record we have. Fine. So now let's try to see. We have done everything, I think. So on button click, we are calling it. Let's just add a debugger. Make a habit whenever you are writing the code for the first time, add a debugger everywhere so that you can see what data you are getting and what data you are not getting, right? Let's save. Let's say I'm creating a record with my name, Chetan. Let's add a dummy mobile number. Again, just add a dummy mobile number because APIs are free. Everyone is using it. So don't put your actual email ID or actual mobile number. Fine. So let's say marketing, then Facebook. Let's enter the password 112233. Oh, both the places I've added female, but one might be with value male. Let me check. Yeah. So here we have value male. Now let's enable the debugger. Now on click of submit, our API call function should trigger. Nothing happening. I think code not saved properly or what. This is saved. This is also saved. Let's reload one more time. Let's enter the data one more time. Chetan. marketing. I think someone might have deleted data. 112233 mail on click of submit. Yeah, so our function is there. So if you see, all the data is there. And in department ID, you can see 2556 means Angular dev, whatever the ID we have. On click of continue, see in result, you got the complete object. So see the API response of this API is with status code. Okay, so it might be 200. See 201 means it record got created. So now we need to change the return type. So in employee service, instead of this API response, let's remove it. So we are just going to play with the status code. Something is wrong. Yeah. Okay. So don't add the return type because the return type of this API call is not the object what we get normally. It's just you need to play with the status type. Okay. So here also with any. No, we are going to in return, we are going to get the employee model. So let's add employee over here. And here also, let's add the employee model like this. Fine. And here we will have this and this else block. It will go over here, catch block. And here we will say error. Fine. Now, so we are able to create the employee. Let's check this gate API again on the Swagger. If we get the record which we created just now. Yes. So see in the gate API. Now we need to integrate this gate API and whatever the data we get that we need to display into the table. So let's do that now. So in the employee service, you have to create one more API, get employees. It will be a simple get API call. So return this dot http dot get API call. What type of data we are going to get? So employee array we are going to get like this. Fine. Then we will need the URL. So URL will be up till this, it will be const same. Just my method name is going to change. So let's get that method name, that is get all employee. So this will go over here. Now in our component, we will call one more, we will create one more function. So I'm just copy pasting this now. It's a simple get API, but it will be get employees. And this will be from employee service. And here get employee function. What type of data we are going to get? Employee array like this. Okay. Now we need to create one more variable. So employee list colon, what type of data? Employee array we are going to get like this. And this dot employee list is equal to directly result because we are directly going to get the array. And this function we need to call on the page load. So over here like this. And whatever the data we get that we are storing into this. So let's show that in the HTML also. So we have table at the top. So over here, you need at the rate for loop. For loop, we will iterate on this element. Then we need tr inside that td. First, like serial number we have to show. So dollar index we will use. Obviously with +1 because we need serial number we started from 1. Then item dot. So I will just copy paste this. Okay. Then first is name. So employee name. Then we have contact number. Then we have email ID. Then we have department. Not sure if department we are getting from the API. I must have forgot to add. Yeah, I forgot to add the join. So you are not getting department ID, but I will add it. Okay. So here just we will show the department ID. And one more TD will be there, which will be empty for now. We will need edit and the delete button. Let's just check it. Now on the page load, we will have two API call. One to get the parent department and one for the get all employee. So see, whatever the employee we created, that is visible over here. Next thing, we need to do the edit, or first we will complete the delete, because delete will be very uh, in very quick time we will complete the delete. So in this last TD, we need a button. Let's add btn danger class, and we will say delete. Fine. Now on click of delete, what we need to do? On click of delete, we need to remove this record. So, and let's check the API first. Get all employee, create employee. So see, delete employee method is delete, and we need to pass the ID. So your URL will be like this. Okay. So let's try now. Why it is saying not found? API is not working. Why it is saying not found? Okay, let it be. This is an error because one ID does not exist. That's why we are getting this error. Fine. Now, so in delete API, we are going to pass the ID. So on click on delete, what we need to pass? Item dot employee ID only we need to pass. Fine. Let's create this function now. So let's copy paste. So when we are calling this function, we are going to get the ID. So that ID, we will catch it over here. Now this same piece of code, I will copy paste instead of create new employee. Now it will be so here. Oh, sorry, we didn't created the API. So just like this get API, I will just copy paste. Now delete employee by ID. Let's get the method name. So our URL will be like this. So let's copy. It will be over here. Instead of this static one, we need to make it dynamic. So plus ID, and we will have the parameter also over here. Fine. Now this function we are going to call from our API call. So that is over here. So delete employee, and here we need to pass the ID, whatever the ID we get. But when we do the delete operation, now we have to show that confirmation message, like, are you sure want to delete or not, like that. And this is like single object we are going to get, not the array. Fine. So let's add it over here, that confirmation pop-up. So constant result is equal to, oh, sorry, confirm. And here we can show the message. Are you sure want to delete? And if users say yes, okay, we will get true over here. So if it is true, then only we will run this API call code. So this piece of code, we need to move it to the if block. Fine. Employee delete success. And once it is success, again, we need to call this function so that our grid will refresh. Let's call it over here. Let's just test it if we are able to delete it. Fine. So now if I click on delete, you get the confirmation pop-up. If I click on cancel, you can see no API call is there. But if I click on delete, see API call. Why we are getting error? 4 not 4. Okay, sorry. We didn't change the method name. It is get only, but our method is delete. So over here, it should be delete. Fine. Let's test it one more time. So now once I click on delete, and if I click on OK, see, API call is there and employee delete success also. After this delete API call, one more API call will be there for the get. See, the table is empty. Fine. So this is delete. Same like that, we need to complete the edit part also. So let me just quickly create one record one more time. I will create 2 or 3 records. So I have created 2 records, Rahul and the Chetan. Let's do the edit thing. So to edit, what we need a button over here to edit. Fine. So let's add a button in HTML first. Let me just add a btn sm class. Let's copy. Let's paste it over here. Instead of danger, we will go with success, and it will be on edit. And for on edit, we can pass the whole item, means whole object, because in the employee array, we are getting the whole object. So let's create it. And while calling this function, we are going to get the object of data type employee. And that object we will assign it to our employee object. So employee object is equal to obj. Fine. So by doing this, see what happens. Now, once you click on the edit, see that data is getting populated on whatever the record you click, that data is getting populated over here, right? Now we just need to do the update part. So how do we do, like it is edit or the update? So in case of new, it is submit, it is okay. But if we are in the update, we have different API calls. So we need different button. So we can match with the employee ID. So if let's copy paste this button instead of submit, we will have two buttons now. So if employee object, so at the rate if I'm using employee object dot employee ID is equal to 0 means new mode. So we will show our as usual save button, and in else we will have our update button. So this button I will copy and put it over here instead of submit, update. And let's change the color also, primary. Fine. Let's see if we are doing it or not. So by default, submit button is visible. If I click on edit, see update button is visible. Let's change the text also. This will be edit. Fine. Now, so we need one more function. So on save department, instead of that, on update EMP. So let's create this function quickly. Now, just like that, same as save EMP, we will have update API call also. So I will just copy, paste, and again in the service also we will need. So just like this post API, we will need put API, update employee. Instead of post, it will be put. Let's check the method name also. So if you see the method name, update, okay, sorry, update employee. And you need to pass the URL also along with the URL. See, object also you need to pass and the URL also. So like this, your URL should be there. So let's paste it over here. And in object only, we will get the ID also. So instead of the static object dot employee ID, so your complete URL will form properly. Update employee slash whatever the ID and the object also you are sending. Now this API call, we need to make it over here. Update employee, employee update success. Fine. Let's just save and check. Save all. So once we click on edit, instead of Chetan, I'm making full name as Zogi. Fine. Now if I click on update, employee update success. Now even if I refresh, see name got updated. So this is how you delete, right? One thing we missed, like if after we save, again we need to call this method get employees, so that table will reload. Over here also we need to do, and after update also we need to do. In delete we have already done that. Fine. So this is very basic CRUD operation what we can do. We have done that with the API. Just the new things what we have seen is dependent dropdown we have tried over here. Fine. So that's it. Now we will move towards the next component. Before moving to the next component now, so if you see the UI, we have this sidebar, and after that we have this card and we have the form. So somewhere we have very less space for the table. So what we can do, instead of showing this form every time, we will make this dynamic. So if I click on add new, then only my form should be visible. Like that we will do. So for that, let's create a variable. Now what is our purpose is we just need to hide and show this div. So on click of add new, this should be visible. On click of close, this should be hidden and this should take the complete space. So for that, instead of creating a normal variable, we will create a signal now. So as I decided, like whatever new things we have got that we should use. So let's say is side panel open is equal to signal. What kind of data I'm going to store? So Boolean. And here we can say, or let's say false value we will store. So we have created our signal. Now, if this signal has a value true, then we need to show our side panel. Otherwise, we need to hide it. Fine. Let me just, so this is the call 7. So the visibility of this call 5 will depend on at the rate if condition. if this signal is equal to true value. So then we need to render this. Fine. So currently that signal value is having false. So see, it is not visible. If we initialize that signal with true value, our side block should be visible. Fine. Now we just need to make it dynamic also. And one more thing, if we are hiding this side panel, this instead of call 7, it should take the complete space, right? Now you have to add a dynamic class. So either you can go with ng class or you can just make it as a property binding also like this. And the value will be if this signal has true value, then this value, otherwise this value like this. So dynamic class we are adding, but as a property binding, not by using ng class. Why not ng class? Because if we have to use ng class, again, we need to import it, right? So if this is true, we need call 7 over here or call 12 over here. Fine. Now on click of these buttons, like add new and everything, we just need to click a function, add new. Let's create this function. It's just an extra things we are doing. Although we have completed our basic CRUD operation, but we are just doing the extra thing. So here, this dot is side panel open dot set. What we need to set? True on click of add. And just like that, we need one more function to close it also. Close. And here we will store false value. And this function we have to call in the form, another card on this close button. Click our function name. Let's test this if we are able to properly hide and show that form. So by default, it is visible. If I click on close, see, it is taking the full screen. Now UI is something looking better. If I click on add new, got it? Let's. So our employee component work is done. Now we will move to the project. Now I have created the routes that I have just done the background. Just create the route as we have created for the employee and the dashboard. Now let's check the API for the project. So employee management. So we are done with the employee creation. Next thing is the project creation. So if you see over here, these are the APIs. So first, now in employee component, we have done the CRUD operation by using template form. So now in project form, we will make use of the reactive form. So I will be taking all the topics, whatever we have. Let's open it and let me just get the UI also. UI is almost ready with me. Let me just copy paste that. So employee management. Okay, I think I don't have the, let's see this. What do we have it over here? Client name, start date, employee ID. Yeah, let's check this. So this is the UI. Now here, if you can see in employee component, what we have did on click of add new, we are just showing the side panel, right? Now in project component, what we will do, we will just hide and show. Either table will be visible or the form will be visible. Fine. Let's do that now. So let's create the basic structure first. So inside project component dot row dot call, let's say 12 only. Here we will have the table and one more call 12 will be there dot call 12. So in first column, we will have just the table. So let's copy this. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add the row also. So dot card header. And here we will say project list. Then we have card hyphen body. And inside this card body, we will have our table. Now this same structure we will need over here also. But again, we will need that close button also, right? So let's copy that structure from our employee component, this row. Let's copy. So in card header, instead of directly showing the data, here we will say project list. Let's close it. And same row we will need in the second card also over here. And here it will be new project. Fine. Let's save Okay, we need the UI also for the form. So over here we have the form tag. Let's copy, and over here we will have the form. So now if I save, both the UI will be visible. See, over here we have one card where table is visible and over here form is visible. But what we need to do at a time, either your table will be visible or form will be visible. So let's do that now. Fine. So for this, we will again, like in previous example, we have done that hide and show by using a signal. Now here I will just create a normal variable. So let's do that. So let's close this project now. So if you see, we have two rows. Sorry, we have one row and inside that we have two columns. In one column we have table, in another column we have form. So now let's open it side by side. Now in this variable I will create is list view. Data type will be Boolean, or instead of Boolean, I will be what we can say a string variable. So I will be showing that comparison also. Either you can create a Boolean or you can create a string also. Let's say current view colon string is equal to, by default I will say list. Fine. Now this variable we will use it over here. So now in previous component we have seen at the rate if condition control flow statement, but now we will use ng if, because I need, because ng if is still there, right? Even though it's we have got control flow statement, but ng if is also still there. So we should be aware of that also, like how do we use that? Fine. So now we will use ng if. Now, so if we have to use ng if, we need to import it. So ng if, either you can use common module, or if you are just going to use particular directive, just import that. Fine. So on this div star ng if equal to current view equal to single quote. If it is list, we need to render this div, otherwise vice versa. So over here we need not equal to. Let's add double equal to or triple equal to. Fine. Now we have this add button, right? Close and this. So click. When we are in the project list, we have to show the button as create new project, right? Now on click of this, either I can create a variable, I can create a function, and there I can change the variable. But if we don't need anything, so you can simply over here also you can change the variable value like this. So now you don't need the function. You can create a function, but in that function you are just going to have a single line, no? But that variable value you can change it over here also. So create. Fine. And just like this, in the second card, we have close button. And here we will say, yeah, let it be close only. And here we will just make it list. Fine. Let's just save and check if we are able to toggle. So by default, you can see table is visible. If I click on create new, see form is visible. So in employee, we were showing both the form. Okay. But in project, we have created some different scenario. Let's just add a background color to the card. It's not looking good. So I will copy this and we will replace that with, let's say, bg hyphen primary. Let's refresh. So now, oh, but colors are like that. Let's change it to success. Fine. Now, so as I decided in this project component, we are going to go with the reactive form. Again, let's check the API first. What data we have got in the API, what object we need to send. So if you see the object, this is the object what you need to pass. Just see properly. Project ID is our primary key. Then we have lead by EMP ID. So this is foreign key, means this project, whatever the project we are creating, which employee is going to lead that. So here we need to show the drop down of employees, and that data we will get it from over here from get all employee. So let's create the form control first. So first I will create the control, then we will call get employee and everything. Fine. So now what we did in previous component, we have make use of the service also, right? So we had a employee service. So just like that, either now we have created two service already. So in employee service only, I'm creating all the remaining API. Fine. Oh, sorry. Before that, first we need to create the object. So we are going to use the reactive form. If you have to use the reactive form, so you need to import reactive form module. This is the first thing. Then your, let's say, project form, colon, new form group, sorry, data type is equal to, we need to initialize also form group. I'm initializing it with empty object. Okay. I'm not adding any control to it. Why? Because I'm going to create a separate method to initialize my form. This is how we work in the industry also. That's why I'm taking this scenario. Normally, you might have seen like here only we initialize all the controls. But whenever we work on the project, we at multiple time we need to initialize our form. So that's why it's better to have a separate function to do that. Fine. So this dot project form is equal to new form group. Again, we need to initialize control. Now, what are the field we have? I'm just going to copy paste this field. Let's copy. Okay. Let's assign it over here. Let's remove this single quote. And this thing I will replace colon new form control. Sorry, new form control like this. Fine. So wherever I have this piece of code, I will replace that with this. Let's reload. And wherever I have 0 also, now let's manually do this thing. Let's copy. Let's paste it over here also, and over here also. Fine. Just project ID is our primary key. So normally primary key, we set it as 0. And lead by empid, it is integer only. So either you can go with empty or you can initialize with 0 also. So this is how we have created our reactive form. Now, this form, we need to bind to our employee, form also. So let's open our form. Let's split it right. Now, so we have created our form. Now this function we need to call in the constructor also, because again, if we don't call this function on the page load, form will be empty. So we need to call this function on the constructor so that once my component load, my form will be properly initialized. Now, here we have our form tag. So on form tag, first thing, form group we need to bind our form group name, that is project form. This will go over here. This is the first thing. Then wherever, what are the controls you have, there you need to bind all the control by using form controller name. Fine. So what I will do is, I'm just using shortcut because we have so much things to cover. So I'm copying this and we will replace that with form control name is equal to double quote, and this will be like project name. So over here like this. And I will replace this with this. Fine. Now here only it will get repeated. So we need to remove that. So these are the very shortcut tools you should be aware, because see, whenever we are in the development or you are in the interview phase, when you appear for the machine test, you get very less time, and within that less time, you need to complete everything. So it's better to have these copy paste skills also ready. Then we have client name. Then we have start date. Start date is having type date, means we need the date picker. Lead by EMP ID. Here we are going to need the dropdown. We will create it. Contact person name from the client side, his contact number, and email ID. Yeah, so email ID we forgot. So let's copy, paste, and here email ID we will bind. Fine. Now let's just save and check if our form is coming proper. Fine. Now over here, we need a drop down, because here we need to show all the employees drop down. Fine. So instead of this text box, we need a drop down. So select, and inside that option, first option will be like as a placeholder, select employee. Now here we need to show the employees, whatever the employees we have, that employees we need to show it over here. So for that, again, we need to call the API. So we need to call that get API, and from that get API, we need to get the data of the all employees, right? So that data we will display it over here. But let's create the master service object only first. Colon, sorry, inject. What we need to inject? Master service. Fine. Normally, what we do, if you see the employee response, let's check the employee. Sorry, get all employees, try it out, execute. So we are getting the object. Normally, what we do, we create a variable, we write the API call function, subscribe, and we store the data over there. But there is another way, and that is the right way. We should create an observable, and we should use async pipe. So instead of subscribing into your .ts, you can directly subscribe into the HTML. So that we are going to see. So async pipe we are going to use, right? So see, if you are in the interview phase now, pipe is the easiest topic. But in pipe, we have two questions. Either someone will ask you async pipe or how to create custom pipe or pure and pure. These three questions are there. No one will ask you like what is pipe and everything because pipe is the easiest topic. So make sure you are well prepared with async pipe. What is the purpose of async pipe? How do we use it? Everything. Fine. So here I will create an observable. Let's say employee data. Whenever you create an observable, add dollar at the end, colon, observable. What type of data I'm going to get? Employee array. So employee class name array like this. New observable. We need to initialize this also. Fine. So what we have done, we have created an observable. Now to this observable, we are going to assign the API call data. So this dot observable is equal to this dot master service dot. Wait, okay, sorry. We need to create API call of not master service. We need employee service. Get all employee where we have done in the employee service. Employee service. So this dot employee service dot get employees. Fine. So see, we have created observable, and to that observable, what type of data we have assigned? Just the API call. We didn't subscribe. Now this observable, we are directly going to subscribe into HTML, means on this drop down. So let's create one more option. Now over here, I will use ng for also. Fine. Because in previous component, I have shown you @ for loop. So now ng for. Fine. So over here on this dropdown, you are going to repeat the data, whatever you get. So ng for is equal to let emp of our observable and a sync pipe. But now it's not suggesting because we need to import it also. A sync pipe we need to import. Then a sync will suggest. See, fine. So this is how you created an observable. You assign the employee data to the API call data to that. Now this value, we will put it over here just to be better understandable. Now property binding to the value we will bind employee ID. Then here we will display our employee name. emp dot employee name. Just save and check. So on the page load, we will have our API call. And here we will have the data. See, data one currently in the employee list, we just have a data. Let's create Chetan. I'm just creating a dummy data now. Development. Again, so many people have created empty data. I need to add a restriction. Fine. So now if we go to the project page, and now you see we have got one more record. I think class we have missed. Let's add the class to this. Class form hyphen select. For a dropdown, we add this, and we need the form control also. So this we will put it over here. And what we need to bind lead emp ID means who is going to lead this particular project, what we are creating. Fine. See, so data is coming. So we didn't subscribe and anything, but we are directly subscribing into the HTML only. Fine. So our reactive form is ready. Now on click of submit, we need to make the API call. Fine. So in the employee service only, we will write our API call function for the create project. Okay. So we have created our what do we say, reactive form, but we didn't created our class or interface. So let's not create it for now. We will complete the API call first. Now, if you see, let me just close this. Everywhere, create new. Just let me complete. So if you see everywhere, this is the common data we are having. So it's like a repeated thing, na? So instead of doing this, you can put this into environment folder also. But considering if you know what is the environment folder, you use that. But what I can do, I will create a variable over here, API URL, colon data type string equal to, and this common part, I will put it into my variable over here. Fine. So my common API URL, I have already stored into variable. Now, wherever we need that URL, so this dot API URL plus concatenation we will do like this. So let's copy over here like this. So now your code looks very proper. You are not repeating something. Got it? So this is concatenation. Another way to do that is, let me show you another way. That is by using template literal like this. So here we need the API variable. So this dot API URL. After that, what is our method name for the create project? Create projects. Let's copy. So this URL method name, you will post it over here directly. So this is one way to bind two variable, concatenate two variable. This is what concatenation we will call, or this is by using template template. Sorry, I forgot this. What do we do? Okay. So this is the JavaScript, not with the Angular. Fine. Now, so we have created our service. Just like that, we will need one more service to get the data also of the project. So let's create this get projects, and the API method is get all projects. So let's copy, let's paste it over here, cut, paste. Fine. So we have created our two API call, create new project and the get project. Let's save. Now in project component, we have the submit button. So in reactive form, now if your button is having type submit, so you can write on the form tag, you can make use of on ng submit function also. This is like submit only when your form get, because you have button type as submit. So this function will trigger once you click on that button on save project. Let's create this function now into our .ts. So over here, what we need to do this dot, sorry, first we need to get the form value. So constant form value is equal to this dot project form dot value we need. So we will get the complete object. Then this dot emp service dot, which method we have to use? Create new project. And here we need to pass the object. So nothing but form value. This here we will pass, then dot subscribe from bracket result colon. What type of data we are getting? Let's check it also. So again, you can see we are going to get, wait, what we are doing, we are going to get the complete object only, see, and we are playing with the status code, not that result message. So just check what type of data you are going to get. So simple object, that object you are going to get, and we are going to play with okay, so here we didn't created our class, so let's create a class quickly. Now I will show you one quick way to create the class. One website is there, convert JSON to TS. It is going over here. So if you open this, you just need to provide the JSON. It will create a, oh my God, let me copy paste again. So see, it has created an interface for you. So copy it where we are keeping our model. Yeah, in over here. So over here, I will create export interface, and this is project object like this. Okay, let's add semicolon. Fine. Now the project kind of data we are going to get. And over here also we need project, project, project. Let's add the input. Fine. Now here project, because this type of data we are going to get. So arrow function. And if we get any error, so error block also we will need like this. So over here we will say the alert box, project created, success. Let's just add a debugger and let's save how it is working now. Here also, and over here also we can add a debugger. Let's just save all and let's test it. On click of create project, let's check if we have any project earlier or no. So on click of try it out, execute. Yeah, so currently you can see we have got two projects already. Someone might have used that API. So two projects are already there. Now let's try to create new project. Let's say we are going to create a Jira project, Jira app. Let's say client name is TCS. Start date, let's say from January 1st, it is going to start. Let's say Chetan is going to lead that project. Contact person from the client, let's say Suresh. Contact number, let's add a dummy mobile number, email. Okay. Now let's check the network call if we are passing the correct data. So if we click on submit, you see our function got triggered. And you see over here, we got the object, right? Whatever the form detail we have seen that we have got. Continue. Yeah. So in the result, you can see we got the ID, means project got created successfully. Now, if we check the get API again, you might be able to see the new project. See, wait here. Okay. Now this get API call, we need to render again, right? So in table also, we need to show the project now. So let's create one more API call function. So just like this, I will just copy paste now. Don't copy paste, because if you are learning it for the first time now, don't copy paste. I know I am doing copy paste because same thing I have already explained in the previous component. That's why I'm copy pasting. But you should write all the code, because in interview you cannot copy paste. There are so many companies which ask you to share your screen, and someone will be watching you and you have to complete the project. So how you are going to copy paste? Correct? So have a habit of writing everything. Get all project, and here instead of this, get project API call. What type of data we are going to get? Array of project like this. We don't need any parameter. Now let's create a variable. So that will be project list colon project of array is equal to empty initialize. And whatever the data we get, that we will assign it over here. So this dot project list is equal to res. And this function we need to call on the page load. So we will implement our ng on init. So on class level, implement on init. And so after constructor, you need to write ng on init. And this dot, your function, you will call it over here. Let's save and check now if we are able to get the data. So on the network, you can see on the page load, we have the data. 3 records we have got. Now we just show that. So in project component, we have this list view. So over here, we will need tr, and inside that trtd. So as in the previous component, I have used at the rate for loop. Here we will use ng for. So tr we need to iterate. So star ng for equal to let project of project list like this. And we need the serial number. So semicolon let sr is equal to index. We have creating a variable. So in the first id, we have to show the serial number. So sr plus 1, because serial number will normally indexing will normally start with 0. Fine. Let's just copy project dot. I will just copy paste this. So here we have project name. Then we have client name. Then we have start date. Then we have lead by employee ID. Let's check if we are getting the lead by employee ID or no. Yeah. So yeah, employee name is we are getting. So let's add this field also over here. What employee he is leading, because while inserting we have said we have passed the employee ID, but we need to show the name also now. So in API I have added the join, so you will be able to see the employee name. And here that's it now. So let's make this empty. Now let's check if we are able to show the projects properly. Yes. So here you can see data is coming properly. So this is the project which we have created. But if you see over here, you are able to see the date. So this is the date what you are coming from the API. So we don't need to show this time. So we can use date pipe. If you have to use the date pipe, you need to import it. So date pipe, you need to import it. Then you can add a date pipe over here, date, and we can pass the proper format also, dd hyphen mmm hyphen yy. Let's save. Let's save. See, now proper date is visible. If you add the 4M now, it will show the complete month name. See, right? So whatever you require, just like that, you will complete. Okay. So we have successfully created our project also, and we are able to load the project in the Git API also. Fine. Now what left is edit and the delete. Fine. So now in edit, in reactive form, what we need to do, let me just close remaining thing. Sorry, let's open this again. So this is our reactive form. So in the table in TD, we will need an edit button. Let's add it quickly, btn primary, and here we will say edit. Now on click of edit, we will pass the data, because in API we are getting all the data, whatever we require. So on click of edit, you don't need to make API call, which is like get project by project ID, because in the array only you have whole data. So why to make API call now? So edit on edit. Let's create this function. Now on click of edit, we get the data, and this project data we are going to pass as a parameter. So let's create it. Now here we are going to get the project data. Project. Now we need to reinitialize our form, but now we have to initialize our form with the value. Instead of this empty, we have to initialize with the value. So now the same function we are going to modify now. So we will add a parameter, project like this. So if project is, and this will be, what do we say, optional. So if project is not undefined, so that check I'm adding it over here. If project is not undefined, what we will write, if project is there, otherwise project dot id like this, otherwise 0. Okay, something like this. We need to add it everywhere. Let's add it quickly. We need to change the field also. Fine. So over here, what is it? Project name, whatever the field name you have, like this. Let's copy paste. So we are changing our only function, because the same form we need to initialize again. So instead of writing this code again and again, now we are using the same function again. Otherwise, it will be empty. So same function we have just modified little bit. Fine. Now this function we need to call it over here. Sorry. Initialize form, and while initializing form, we will pass the data now. Fine. Let's save and check if we are able to edit. So on click of create new, you see we don't have any data. Now, but if I click on edit, nothing is happening. So we have initialized our form. If we click on create new now now you are able to see the data, but this is not now. On click of edit also we need to redirect, we need to show the form. So that we will do once our form is initialized. After that, we just need to change our variable, that is currently is equal to create, then only our form will be visible now. Let's save and check now. Now on click of edit, our form will be visible. See, testing, Jira app. See, so wherever you are clicking on the edit, that data is getting populated. Now here instead of submit, we need the update button, right? Because for update, we have one more API call. So just like whatever we have done in the clients in template form, same like that we will do. So let's copy paste and if we will add, and instead of doing over here now because we have input type submit, so every time this function is going to get executed, so we will write that piece of code over here. So now here we will check if client project ID is already there. So project form dot project ID equal to 0. If it equal to 0, then we need to add this API call, create new project. But if it is not equal to 0, we need to call our update API call. Correct? So in the service also, we need to create one more API call. Earlier we created for create, right? So let's create a update also, just like create update project. Let's get the method name, update project. See the URL like this, we need to pass, correct? So, and here we will have project object. And here we need to pass project ID as a URL. Fine. So we have created API call in the service. So here update project API call. So project updated success. Wait, something is wrong. We are project. Okay, return type we forgot. See, error is gone away. Let's save and check now. So now if we click on add new, let's create one more project. So let's say banking ERP, my project name, client name again. Let's say Infosys, anything, just a dummy data we are adding, right? So let's say this project is going to start from February 2nd. And let's say data one is going to lead. Contact person, num, I'm not taking validation and everything because I have already created so many videos for validation. This is just a project specific. So all the controls and everything, how flow works and everything we are going to complete. So on click of submit, this is we are creating new project. So on click of submit, see our project got created. So this API call, create API call project got there triggered. Okay, but that data is not visible because in case of subscribe, sorry, means once we have successfully created the project, we need to call this API again. That's why we forgot this. Okay, so now once you create or update the project, your API call will be there. So that latest data will be visible in the table. Fine. Now let's click the Jira app record. So you can see project name. Instead of Jira app now, I will say project management tool. Project name I have changed. In bracket, I will use Jira. Fine. So on click of submit, now we are updating. So you see update API call will be there. See update API call. Got it? Now if we close, see project has been updated. Now delete will be same. Not, reactive form and template form, it has nothing to do with the delete. Same flow will be there. So whatever how code we have done in the employee now, same thing you need to do. Just your URL is going to change. And instead of employee ID, you will be passing project ID. So I'm skipping that part. So now project employee, adding employee to the particular project, that part is remaining. Fine. So we will start on that now. So we are done with the project creation, all the, we are able to create the project, edit and the delete. Delete part I just did not cover, but it's the same thing. In the employee component, I have already covered how we implement the delete functionality. So here I'm skipping it. Now, So next part is project employee. So we have created employees. After that, we have created project also, which will be for particular client who is going to lead that particular everything we have done. Now we need to add project. We need to add employees who will be working in the particular project. So for that, either we can create a separate page and here we will do the normal CRUD operation just like we do. But instead of that, an innovative way will be that is project employees related to this project. So here we can add a button and there in the model pop-up, we will do that thing. So that is more interacting and more user friendly also. Fine. So for that, we have project component and inside that in the table, we will add one more button and here we will say employees on add employees. Fine. Let's create this function for now. And here I will be needing project ID only. So let's create this project. On click of this button, we need to open our model pop-up. Fine. We will do that. Let me just remove the zoom little bit. Fine. So over here, I'm creating this function. We are going to get ID over here as a parameter. Now, so as I said, on click of this employees button, we will open a model pop-up. And on click of that model, inside that model pop-up, we will do the CRUD operation of the particular project. MX2, just the spacing I'm adding. Fine. Instead of this primary, let's make it success. Now, so we need the model pop-up code. So let's use the bootstrap model. Let's go to bootstrap site. Here we have the model. Let's copy the same HTML code. This HTML code, I will put it at the end of the template. So over here, and now over here, let's remove the unwanted things. Now here, let's say project employees title. Fine. Now, so this particular model we are going to open. So there are multiple ways to open the model pop-up. We will choose the view child. So I can cover that view child also. So we have to create a view child of this particular div. So hash my model. Fine. Now, so we need to create a view child. So let's create a view child at the rate view child round bracket double quote our hash property name, that is my model. My, or let's say this is employee model colon data type will be element ref or undefined or anything you can use. Fine. Now on click of this, we need to open our model pop-up. So this dot model pop-up dot native element. Wait, why it's not suggesting properly? Employee model, no? View child, my model, colon element ref. View child we have added from the Angular core only, but why it's not suggesting native element? Okay, because we said any, so undefined we need to add. So that's the problem with any. It won't suggest the actual data type properties. Now, if you see native element is correct. So whenever we are accessing to build model now, just make sure you add a null check because it's an HTML tag we are actually trying. So if HTML is not there, we might get it undefined. Fine. So this code will go over here. We need style dot display is equal to block. Just like this function, we are going to need one more function to close the model pop-up also. So let's close model. This function we will add on this close button. Now, what we have to do in the project employee? If you see the API, we have so many APIs. So the first API, let's say create project employee. This will help us to create the employee. Then we have get our project employees, but we need this specific get project employee by ID. Here we need to send the project ID. Then it will get all the employees who are working in that particular project. This API we are going to use because once we get a particular project ID, correct? So the API we are going to do. But first, let's create the project. Now, this is the object we need. Now here, inside this, instead of doing normal CRUD operation, now let's make it something interactive. So here below we will have the table and up at the top we will have fine. So if you see the object, how many things we have? Project, this is primary key, this is foreign key. We need an employee drop down, assign date and role. This is by default true. So only three field, employee drop down, a date and the role we need. So over here, let's design the UI. That will be, let's say row call three. Here we will have employee drop down. So select, then after this scope, and here will Good. So we have created this instance of our class, which we have created. Now this class we need to bind to the project. Now, as I said, like we are going to use reactive form. So if we are going to use reactive form, forms module we need to import. Now over here in the model pop-up, we have this small form. So on this drop down, we need to bind ng model equal to our object. What we need to bind? AMP ID. Just like this, let me copy, paste, paste. Here, rule, and last one is assign date, by on which, from which date this employee is going to work on this particular project. Here we need date. Let's add a placeholder rule. Fine. So if you see the UI, so on click of employee, here we will select the employee drop down, we need to bind role and the date, and on click of add, we need to call our post API. Once it does, we need to again get the project employees working for this project. So that data will be visible in the table. Fine. Now, what else is remaining? We have binded it. Okay. So we need the employee drop down. So if you see the project employee, I have created an observable. So in this observable, what I'm storing? The employee data. So now this observable, I can subscribe over here also in the option directly. Arrange or let EMP off, and by using async pipe, because I'm directly subscribing over here. So here property binding, what we need to bind? Employee ID. EMP dot employee ID. I have created class and interface. What is the right to suggesting? Interpolation EMP dot, we need to show employee. Let's add a place. Select employee. Fine. Let's say what is the default value for EMP ID? 0. So here also we need to assign 0. Then only this placeholder will get selected. Let's see. If I click on employees, you see only currently I have 2 employees only. Let's go to employee page, add 1 or 2 more employees. Let's add some dummy mobile number. This is dependent drop on click of development. You can see these are the child department are coming. If I select marketing, see Facebook marketing is coming. So this is dependent drop down. Once I select the parent department, then my child department is coming. Okay. I will share this code. You can see how we create the dependent drop down also. On click of save, it is getting saved. Now if I go over here, so see over here, you are getting the new employees added also. Now on click of add, we need to integrate our API. So API is create project employee. So I have created service. So in that service, we need to just create one more API call function. So that is going to be post. So let's copy our method name. We'll go over here. Now, since we have created our class, so everywhere, instead of using any, we have to specify our class. Project employee data we are going to get, and return also project employee data we are going to return. Let's update the import. Add new EMP. Add new project employee. Just a method name. Fine. Now, just like that, one more API call we are going to do to get all the project employees. So this is that. Here we need to pass one or something. So this is the employee, this is the API which will give you all the employees working for a particular project. So you will pass the project ID over here. So let's create this function also. Let's copy. Slash after that plus ID. So ID we will get it over here as a parameter number. Fine. So we have created two API call function into our employee service for adding a new employee and to create the project employee. Now, in project component, we have this add button, right? On this add button, we have to call our API on add EMP. Let's create this function now. So just like this, it's a simple API call. So I will just copy this piece of code. So currently I don't have that API, which if we pass the project ID, we should get all the employees working for that project, but we can use this API. So this API is going to return all the employees for all the projects. So we can filter it out also. So this API call we will make. So employee service, let's change it. Now we don't need a parameter to this API. Let's remove this also. So this API is going to give you all the employees who are working for all the project. Now we have to filter it according to our project, right? So once you click on this function, you're going to click on the employees, right? On click of this, on click of this employees, you need to call this API now. So we got the project, we got the ID, but we don't need that. So let's create one more get API call. There are the get API call. Let's copy get all project employees. Project employee. What type of data we are going to get? So that is project employee. So let's copy and paste it over here also. Just like this variable, we need to create one more variable. Project employee. Let's copy and assign it over here. Right. Now this function we are going to call once I click on the model pop-up. This dot this. But in this API is going to return all the data, right? So to this function, I'm passing this ID because I need to filter. Maybe I'm going to get all the project employees, but I need the particular project employees only. So I'm passing project ID over here. Here also, I will cache that ID. So before assigning it, I will filter result dot filter, then square bracket, round bracket, arrow function m dot c. Project ID equal to ID. We are filtering the employees with this particular project only. And whatever the data we get, that we will assign it to our variable. And this data, we will bind it to our table. So here we have the table. So here we need to display project name. Let's check. We are already. So project name, we have start date. On a particular model pop-up. So you will see one API call. See, now in the result, we got 3 project employees data, but out of that, our current project is 1436. So if you see over here, 1436, 2 records are there for the particular project. So now we are just filtering that. And whatever the data we get, see, we got 2 records and that we are assigning it over here. And those same record you can see over here. Okay. Now, one more thing is remaining. Once we uh, create the project, after that also we need to make the API call. So for that, this API call again, I will trigger. And here we need to pass project ID dot project ID. So once I save again, my table will also reload. Let's try now. So currently in the banking ERP, we have two entities working. Let's add developer or Ketan. 2nd of February. On click of add, project employee added. After that, a get API calls. So see, three employees are working on this particular project. If we open project management tool, the second project, see, it's empty, right? Again, empty doesn't make sense. So here we should show, see, table is empty, but we should show something, right? So for that, we will use ng container. Over here, ng container. Here we will say a paragraph, no employees. Same container I will copy paste again, not condition, not equal to 0 means we have the employee, so that we will show it over here. So by adding the simple check, your application will look proper. So if you click on this project, you see employees added. But same if you click on the first employee, you see we got the data. Okay, so we have created our employees from the employee page, then project. In the employee page, we have used template form. In project form, we have used reactive. Again, in the project form over here, this same thing, whatever we are adding the project employee, this could have been done in this page also. But why to create the same thing over there? This looks more interactive. If I have to see the project, if I have to see the employees which working on the particular project, I will click over here. From here only, I can add the new employees also. Fine. So that's it.